Hello and welcome to a new episode of Pat's Chat. Today I'm very happy to have Vyasa Kandasamy with me. I am welcome Vyasa. How are you today?
I'm good, Pat. I'm good. Thanks for having me on your show today. Looking
Sure.
forward to it.
Yeah, me too. And of course, you're very popular with the new show that you have, Conversations That Matter. I think you started also during the COVID live interviews with very popular people. Well, why did you came up with that idea? What was the motivator, the trigger for you?
Okay, that's a good question. I get asked about that a lot. Um, one of the reasons is I actually wanted to do something like that for some time back, even before the MCO. I just never got to do it because we get busy with our normal day to day, work life operations and all. So and I forgot about it for a while. So just before the MCO, when the MCO happened, suddenly all our normal daily routines just stopped from just going, and you get busy, and then suddenly toying, and then you're thinking, what am I going to do right now? So then as I was just spent a few days thinking, and then suddenly this thing came up to me again in when I was having a bath, and said, hey, why don't we do this at this point of time? We have all the equipment and all, because we do videos also
Yeah,
for
yeah.
our company stuff.
Hmm.
And then said, okay, let's just do it. Let's just get started and just jump into it. If we make mistakes, so be it. So we just started out with friends that I know who are experts in their field, and then it got more and more interesting. So we invited bigger people, influential people, and all, and they agreed to come and share. And they are also figuring out things from home. So I could actually catch them. We don't have to have a lot of meetings before we see them at this time.
Yeah, basically it's easier, right? The setup, everything is online, and more people are happy to do it because it's also not so much effort for them. You got
Yeah,
like
yeah.
awesome people in your show, like Frida Liu, Datuk Cek, Abdullah thing, many other datos, and recently Datuk Nicole David also. That was like an awesome talk. Then I thought like, wow, I need to have an interview with you also because that was like something very exceptional.
Yeah, it's good to be here on your show, Pat. I'm following your shows too.
That's good. So what is like all these awesome people you had on your show? What is for you the most, or what was the most exciting one? The one that really you like the most for yourself?
Right. Okay. So, of course, Dato Nicole was a good one because, like, it took more than a month. I've been trying out, and then finally, a friend shared with me, the context, and then we got to arrange a meeting, and then she shared a lot of things because personally, I admire her a lot because she has been 8 times world champion,
Yeah.
consecutively. So that actually is not an easy to be a world champion once in 1 year.
Mhm.
Okay, that means you have worked really really hard, to achieve that peak performance. But to do it consecutively for 8 years, that really takes something, something different. Consistency, discipline, persistence, resilience, everything comes into play, right? So during the time as we share, she's so humble, but she didn't like sort of like say much about her. But from the talk itself, we can hear a lot of those points being said while she expressed her thoughts.
Yeah.
So that was very interesting. But every one of the speakers that came about in the show, each of them had something really really unique to share. So I enjoyed actually having. I cannot really pick out
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
good
Sure.
or the other one. It's also not fair because each of them talk
Yeah.
very different topics. Some of them gave
Absolutely.
some really good business ideas, for example, like Dato James Fu
Ah.
and then
Yeah.
Dato
Mm.
Jake. Yeah, so they
Mm.
gave some really good ideas what they're doing. They also shared about the issues their own company face and how they are sorting it out. So they were very real. They didn't hide anything. They shared things as they
Yeah.
were.
Yeah.
And then we had one of the interesting ones was also like the interview with the three business people who really pivoted during this time. For example, a swimming school that taught swimming during this time. Can you imagine teaching swimming online?
Yeah, that's
Or
a challenge, I think.
yeah, it was. You just really need to think out of the box on how you're going to teach
Yeah,
students during this time. Another one, I was teaching
absolutely. Yeah.
cheerleading, cheer
Okay.
aspirations.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are some of the interesting ones. And then of course we
Yeah.
had a lot of like speakers and trainers who came on the show, and they shared a lot of their own niche areas. For example, EQ. The other one was like mental resilience, a lot of different things as I personally got from the
Yeah.
shows.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, I can really recommend it. Put the links up, of course, but you can find it, Vyasa, on YouTube or Conversations That Matter. Look at some of these videos. They're really, really awesome. And well, I hope one day I can get as famous as you, and I can invite not the GOAT in squash, but in tennis, of course, Roger Federer. That's
Oh,
like, I think that's like the same level as Datuk Nicole, what she has
yeah.
achieved in squash. So really awesome, and congratulations on that one. So now
Thanks, Pat.
I would like to learn a little bit more about the guy behind the mic when you do the interviews. That is you, of course. And you just told me before you were growing up in Kachan, but then I know you studied in university science, right?
Yes.
You have a master's in engineering. That's your background. So how did you decide on engineering? What were the motivators for you at that time to go into this topic?
All right. That's an interesting one. In among Indians, to do medicine is always like one of the things. And just my results were not that great, and then so the next option was engineering. So and I just applied to mechanical engineering, and I got it. That was the US University Science Malaysia campus. It is actually based in Perak, in Toronto, Perak. But
Okay.
now it has moved back to Penang area,
Penang, yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
it was originally in Toronto, in Perak.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I just realized when I went there that I just loved engineering so much, even from young. And I'm just so lucky that when I ended up with mechanical engineering, that is actually the one field that I really love so much. Even up to today, I'm not really doing engineering a lot, as you can see, but I'm very involved in engineering, and today we have some of the trainings that involves, and we serve actually, what, we actually serve a lot of engineering folks.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Such a small world, man.
Yeah,
I went out,
you kept the industry, right? Yeah.
yeah,
But
but yeah.
okay, yeah, yeah. Please go on.
But when I left engineering, the campus, I didn't really go heavily into my field, which is actually mechanical engineering. I did my degree, and then I went on to my master's in mechanical engineering. But when I left campus, me and another partner, Sarawana, we actually started out a microchip company, right? Where we design microchips.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
called Cyrus Labs. It's
yeah,
totally out of mechanical engineering, but it's
yeah.
very much electronic engineering, which is
I read
related
about
to what
that.
Sarada.
I was surprised. I was like, wow, how can you just move into this completely different? Well, it's not completely different area, but microchips is like a different, let's say, a different level, a different size that you are really working on.
Oh yeah, it's just really micro, compared to what we do in mechanical. It's so micro. So like Sarah is actually the brains behind in the company. He's the one who actually designs, and he was a CTO of the company, where we actually started out two guys just fresh out of university, and we didn't really know much about the business world. So we ended up finding the roads. We didn't know the roads in KL. Back again, when I came back here again, we didn't know who's who in who are in the business side. We wanted to do startup and raise funds, but we didn't know any investors. We didn't know any VCs and all those things. So we started everything from total scratch. None of our family members were in business. So so it was
That's
pretty fun. It
impressive.
was a really good ride. It was a really good ride. We learned a lot of things. Learning curve was super high every day. At last, we got funding.
Okay.
We got the first round of funds was about 3.5 million at that time. That was in 2001. Okay,
Wow.
we
Yeah.
started out. But to do that, actually, there was a lot of learning behind. We actually met more than 200 investors
Wow.
to actually secure our first round of funds, because we didn't know anything. We had to start from scratch. We saw
Yeah.
small investors, we saw angel, we saw all kinds of investors, and we made a lot of mistakes. It's what we can call the young and foolish time lah. Where you have nothing to lose, because we are not running our own. We don't have family. We don't have a wife. We don't have a house and everything. Everything was just fresh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we could afford to fail 100 times, and it'll be still okay, at least for a while.
Yeah, but I think it's really a key takeaway here, and it's very important when you say you reach out to 200 investors before you really close something, before someone was really interested. I think that's like something that is missing maybe with today's generation. They reach out to 1, 2, 3, maybe 10 investors, then they give up because they think they cannot do it. So you reach out to 200. That's really impressive.
Yeah, I suppose we had a point to prove there also, because my parents were totally dead against what I was doing, because I studied mechanical engineering, and then I just leave out everything and then start going into some unknown business, where I don't even haven't even done business before and all. So I suppose I was running against time, to prove something to myself and the world that we got to do it, man. Come on. So then we just kept on going. We sent out a lot of business plans to a lot of people, and some people will call you, some people will call you and talk to you, and then some people will just um, tell you that you can't do this, man. Don't joke around with us. You can't. This is not for you. So we met all kinds of people, and it's very interesting actually, the whole journey. I would have never learned so much in such a short time if I didn't go take that venture.
Awesome. What happened to Cyrus Labs in the end?
Yeah, okay. So eventually, we started up in Cyberjaya. We had more funds. We had, we went on to subsequent funds. We opened up an office in UK and also Ireland. We ended up spending a lot of time in Silicon Valley at that time.
Oh, wow.
California, nice. Yeah, because that's where everything's happening, We can be in Malaysia and then, shout out all you want, but nobody's going to look at you. So we had to go to conferences in California, keep going there to, typically it'll be like at least 1 or 2 weeks every month to gain some traction. But what we realized is the companies there in Silicon Valley normally start up with an initial fund, especially for a microchip company. It starts from 5 to 10 million US, and then quickly they go within 1 year, they raise another round of funding. So what we raised here was actually peanuts. And of course, again, being young and foolish, we thought everything we could do things from here. So that was one of our critical mistakes. We have to be where the action is. And at that time in 2001, 2002, the action was in US. It was like the hub where everything gets outsourced, to all over. And if we are not close to the customers, that was a big mistake, a big overlook from our part. And again, we cannot survive with just a small round of funds. Like total, we raised, I think, close to 12 million, from various sources. But that's just 12 million ringgit. It's just too little for such a big idea, and we have to get closer to the business. So eventually, in 2007, we folded here.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was what happened.
Understand, yeah. Okay. Anyway, I think great experience that helped you in the next ventures that you created. And what I found really interesting is that you just mentioned it before. Okay, you studied topic A, then you went into industry B, and the next one was even industry C. Nothing to do
Yeah.
with like engineering, microchip design. You started a business that was focused on incentive rewards and loyalty programs, right? That maybe you can let us know why you changed completely again from
Right,
your
right, right.
first venture that you had.
Okay, you really did your research, Pat.
Have to.
So this, yeah, this company was actually it's called Business Process. In fact, it's still around, right? It's still going around. It's just we have just moved. The partnership has changed, and I've exited from the partnership.
Okay. Yeah.
This business is actually dealing with rewards. We dealt with a lot of B2B customers. So we dealt with companies like Crocodile, that at that time HTC, phone companies and all. We created rewards for them to reward their clients whenever they purchase something. It's just to enhance the buying process. Okay. So it helps customers to decide faster to get the product. Okay, incentivize them. So this one was actually by accident. So we were actually looking. I was actually looking for things to do after the previous company has folded and all. So we're actually looking for different things to do, and and then a few of us friends came together and said, hey, why don't we check out this part, because we got to know about this idea, and then we started experimenting, and then it started working, and it started growing. So we hit some good figures and some very good clients. People enjoyed the products, and then we started expanding from there. All right, and then about 7 years ago, because we had some different directions and all that. So I exited from the partnership, and then I started this CAD training center, which is
And
what I'm
again,
doing right now.
yeah, and again,
Yeah.
you started something completely different. You went into training,
Yeah.
which you are still connected. Like since I think the company also was founded some more years ago in '99.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's like
Yes.
a
Yes.
two decades old company now that you're leading and owning. That is quite interesting in itself, because there must be a lot of changes when we talk about trainings, right, over 2 decades.
Yes.
And you
Yes.
started with CAD trainings. That was okay, at least related to your engineering
Yeah.
studies.
Yes.
But today you do a lot more than that. Maybe you can walk us through what the company is about today and how it really changed over like 20 years.
Right. So when I started this training site, have been, in fact, it was earlier than the microchip one. It was more like me personally training. So and at the beginning we were training a lot of like AutoCAD. AutoCAD is actually very commonly used engineering drawing and engineering design software, computer aided design software. And I was teaching it a long time ago, and that's one thing that stuck with me after the from campus days. I loved the 3D part. I loved the 2D part. I loved how a design can bring something to
Yeah,
a
yeah.
reality. For example, the things that we see in front of us right now itself, like the mouse, the keyboard, the laptop, the phone, everything is done with computer aided design. So as I started then back then, 1999, it didn't really stop, because from time to time I always do trainings myself. And then just 7 years ago, I started this company where we actually do training in a bigger way, where we meet clients directly, and then get projects. A lot of our clients are actually construction based and engineering based, but today we have actually diversified our trainings to a lot more than just construction and engineering. That hence the name CAD training. It started with computer aided design. So now we have evolved. We do things like Excel, data analytics, IT stuff,
Mm.
Python, and all.
Yeah, a lot more. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, a lot more
Expand a
than
bit.
before. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I have,
Yeah.
of course, one debate we have always about the training is it worth to go to a training center, see a physical trainer, sit with other colleagues or like even competitors in a room and learn something versus, oh, can I just do a webinar on online training? I think that changed over the last 3 months, where
Right.
we, or maybe
Yes.
also you, were just forced into online training. But what is your take on this in general? What was your preferred way before
Right.
COVID, and how do you
After
deal with
COVID.
it right now?
Okay, that's a good one. Actually, that's a really pertinent question, especially during this time. Really, in fact, if you ask me, and a lot of people out there still prefer the physical trainings that we do in a classroom setting. Either in a classroom or in a hotel. In fact, we have already started online trainings for quite a while. There are a lot of different challenges when it comes to online training. But first, let me just share on the physical training. There's a lot of
Yeah.
when we do a classroom set training where it's instructor led. There's a lot of non-verbal cues that happen during the time. For example, how the person frowns, how the person looks at something. Some people are shy; they don't really share, what they don't know. And then we can actually go around looking at the monitors, seeing what they're doing, so we can spot problems and show them. So we can take a lot of fast action versus online training, which we are doing right now. There are sometimes, what we see is like we don't very often we don't see them physically because some of them shut the monitor, for various reasons. Sometimes they're at home, maybe the background is not good, or their hair is too long or messy, all those different reasons. So we actually miss out straight away 50% of we normally see something and then we hear something. So immediately we have lost out 50%. So now we have to learn how to enhance it with other modes of things. For example, like, having the chat rooms, having the chats, having the whiteboards. We have to engage with some form of games at the beginning and grounding, for example, like breathing, and so that we get them ready there for the training, because they're actually at home.
Yeah.
Kids are fighting at the background. Sometimes we have seen like cats fighting at the back.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, when we're at home, a lot of things are calling us all the time, so
And
we need to find a
distractors.
way
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Mm, mm,
And then we have seen children coming up suddenly,
mm.
and then calling them, sometimes TV at the
Yeah.
background. So many different things. There's a lot of distraction.
Mm,
But then again, like it or not, COVID is going to be around for a while. It's not going to be totally eliminated in the next, I
mhm,
can say easily 1 year, 1.5 years.
mhm.
So it will be coming and going. So we have to be prepared. And some companies are not going to be open towards classroom training. A lot of companies are also asking us to do physical trainings back again, but we have to explain to them that, right now we can't do this because of
Yeah.
the, regulations and all, and also
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
safety.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we are figuring that one out. But the thing is, like, online, like it or not, we just have to do it. But
Mm-hmm.
what I find is it's not as efficient as the face-to-face training.
Oh, really?
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's about, I can say easily, it's only 70 to 80% as
Mm-hmm.
efficient as an online, face-to-face training. But
Yeah.
having said that, there's also some benefits in terms of online training. So previously, sometimes we have like logistics issues where people have to come to a
Mm-hmm.
training place to do a training and all,
Yeah.
or sometimes the trainer have to go to a place. Now we can actually get it done from anywhere. So people from, as far as Penang, sometimes they want to come and follow our training, like, for
Mm-hmm.
example, certain AutoCAD or niche topics. They can't follow it, but now they can. They
Mm-hmm.
can, we can have one customer from Kuantan, one customer from Penang, one
Yeah.
from Sabah and Sarawak. They
Mm.
don't have to fly in. There are customers who actually flew in just to get, to do the
Yeah. Yeah.
training. So
Wow.
now
Okay.
we save all of that because everyone has
Mm.
accepted the fact that online training is here to stay.
Yeah. Yeah. So your
So
reach gets
that's
far bigger, right? Or I mean, the cost
exactly.
for both you and also the customer gets also lower because of the travel and this kind of things.
That's right. So we just have to figure out the interaction part. We have to figure out how to make it interesting and be okay that we don't teach the full, the full 100%. We set our target slightly lower on what is delivered. So that way we can not stress ourselves and the participants also not too much.
Okay, I
Yeah.
understand, and I agree with you. It probably takes some more time. It's interesting that you mentioned some companies are requesting that you get back to physical trainings, so they demand you. But in the end, probably you just opened a new business opportunity or line here by offering the two modes, I would say, in the end, like an offline training or a physical training, and then also an online training, and customers can choose in the end.
Yes, that's right, Pat. That's right. I think the physical training will be coming back soon with more safety precautions. I think it should be coming in as
Okay.
early as June or July, because I think HRDF is already looking into that again, how to get the trainings going on again. But I think on the other side, we shouldn't let go the online side, because that's also another opportunity, and then we can teach more people with this.
Okay, interesting. Maybe also things like virtual reality or augmented reality trainings are in higher demand. More opportunities for you also to venture into these areas.
Yes, yes, yes. In fact,
Okay,
we are
cool.
looking into these areas right now also.
Already, yeah. Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. I saw one more topic that you're offering. I wanted to touch on at the very end of this talk. That was 3D printing. And
Okay.
that's one of the, let's say, newer topics that people should learn or can learn. So what you really teach in this area, what is the fancy thing about 3D printing, and where does it really help today?
Okay. So 3D printing, in fact, we offered this starting about 5 years ago, where
Oh,
we
wow.
got a printers. Yes, five
So
years
not
ago,
so
but
new, not so new anymore.
it's not so new, but it still sounds new. Rightly said there. But 3D printing is interesting. It was when it was starting to come out in the year, becoming more popular, which was about 5 to 7 years back. It was the hype thing at that time. Something that there's a lot of talk about 3D printing. The technologies. This is the future thing and all that. But in reality, it's actually a very nice thing to have, and a few selected uh, industries will benefit from this. Not everybody. So what they wanted to do is get just like getting a normal Canon printer to every home. They wanted to get a normal 3D printer into every home, but that never really happened.
Yeah.
That was just something, a prediction, but
Mm.
it didn't really happen. But again, there's a lot of benefits. For example, for like small manufacturers who want to do like simple uh, items, which like the quantities 100 to 500 pieces and all, it totally doesn't make sense to actually do a tool and die, the mold and all for that low numbers. Okay, so it makes sense to 3D print them in that kind of quantities, like 100 pieces, 200 pieces, 500 pieces, and all that. And then you want to change the design. It saves a lot of cost by 3D printing it. So all you need to do is just model it and then 3D print it. You don't have to create the mold and the design, which can take 1 to 2 months to design, and it can
Yeah. Yeah.
cost up to 40,000 ringgit to 50,000 ringgit,
Wow.
which
Yeah.
is too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do 3D printing, so like example, one case study I can share with you is like this at one time about last 2 years, vape was so popular, vaping,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? So they had this these small devices, the square devices, and then
Yeah.
people started, as it was getting more popular, people like to put some casings on top of them.
Yes. Yeah. True. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
some
saw
unique
that. Yeah. Yeah.
casings. Yeah,
Mm.
so that one, so some of the small distributors of that, they wanted to have designs coming up and changing very fast. So they
Mm.
only
Yeah.
sell like 100, 200, 300 pieces. So it
Oh,
doesn't make
okay.
sense for them to
Yeah.
actually create a mold and then go through the whole process, and it costs like 40,000-50,000 and 1 or 2 months of lead time. Just doesn't make sense. So when they had this 3D printing option, so a friend of mine, a good friend of mine who does all this 3D printing, so he did this project, and he just kept on new designs come in. Okay, the next day they can just release it, 100 pieces, 200 pieces, and
faster,
all.
yeah, and no mass production. That is basically
Yes.
the target market. Yeah. Okay,
Correct,
cool.
correct.
Yeah, understand. Okay, thanks a lot for sharing also this small area we picked out. Maybe at the end, I would really like to ask you. Now you have gone through so many different companies, like let's say also industries that you were touching. Do you have any regrets that you didn't like one of the earlier companies were more successful, or is it like the training that is your baby now, and you're happy that everything worked out, like everything happened as it happened?
Yeah, I think that's a good one. Good question. Of course, like when we are in that company, we always want it to be successful. Like for example, the microchip company or the rewards company, and even I was involved in MLM for a few years or so before the rewards company. So we did very well in each of it, but there were the up times and also the down times. And I think it's all part of my learning. I cannot regret any of them. It brought me to where am I today. I'm a lot more calmer. I can face difficult times. Last time when I first faced the first difficult time, it's like the whole world is coming down on me. The second time, it's still like coming down on me, but okay, a little bit better. But now it's like, okay, it's just part of business running. Things can go wrong, and it will go wrong. So we just have to, just come out of it. Just balance things out, and always know what is important, family and all, and just move on from there, and learn, and keep learning, learning things.
Absolutely. Awesome. I like that. Really appreciate again your time sharing your experience. I think it was very valuable to learn from you, hear those stories. And I hope many other will also be inspired by the failures that you had to go through to be successful in the end. So thank you very much, Vyasa, for your time and sharing.
Thank you for having me, Pat. Likewise, thank you for having me.
Thanks. And thanks to you for watching this episode. I hope you liked it. Stay tuned. Next week, a new episode of Pat's Chat. Have a great day and stay safe.
Bye-bye.
This episode was brought to you by Adrian Koo FMC. He is a remote, multidisciplinary creative designer, entrepreneur with niche designs in 3D, packet designs, event designs, and branding. Aaron Koo FMC loves to connect via LinkedIn. Just search for his name.